welcome to the Friday edition of the Revelation series. My name is Martin Zender, and I make sense for a living. I'm also known as the world's most outspoken Bible scholar, and that's a fact. And I'm here unraveling secrets and giving you wisdom from a laundry room, which is absolutely perfect. Try to keep in mind that Jesus was born in a stable. Or it could have been even more humble than that. It could have been a barn. And he was laid in a manger, and that set a precedent, I think, for all the things of God. All the wonderful things of God are done in great humble circumstances. And so, where will you find error? You ask. Oh, well, that's a good question. You will find error at the Crystal Cathedral or Joel Osteen's giant arena. Yeah, or when Billy Graham used to do revivals at stadiums. That's where you'll find the error. I guarantee you I will never be in a stadium speaking to 15, 20, 30, 40,000 people. No. Don't want to do it. I love this intimate gathering that we have together. I love how God has made it. I love it. I love that. When I used to operate in Greenwich, Ohio, and I rented a room on top of the post office. It was an old building. And somebody told me one time, you should put the name of your organization on top of the building or whatever. I was publishing a newsletter at the time called the Idle Babbler Illustrated. You need to put that on the front so everybody can see it. No, are you kidding me? No, I love the fact that it's anonymous. I love the fact that here, this old building, you would drive by it and think nothing of it. It's like the old warehouse in a crummy section of town where once you walk into the doors, everything's like clean and neat and high tech, and there's computers everywhere, and people are taking over the world from within. I like that. I was producing truth, Aeonian truth, given secrets of the Aeonian times, and I was dispensing them from this nondescript old building on top of the post office in a town called Greenwich, Ohio. Love that truth. And so if you find yourself in humble circumstances, rejoice in it, because that's the way God works, and that's where the truth is happening. So you're laying low, no matter how much we shout about this. And really, I publish stuff every day, and every week I do my newsletter. Only a small amount of people are going to understand it and get it, because it's only a few God is choosing now in His wisdom. This is His wisdom, So I'm not. I have no hang-ups about it. I used to think, why aren't there more people in this? Now I realize that's how it is. Speaking of, being humble, I am actually wearing a Ralph Lauren shirt today. I showed you my sweater yesterday, and it had a dog on it. It might have been it's a nondescript brand, but I'm actually wearing a Ralph Lauren thing here. You can see the little polo pony there, but I got this at TJ Maxx here in Fort Lauderdale, and it was it's an outlet store, right? And it was like $12. So just so you know, I'm not getting all Joel Osteen on you here, ladies and gentlemen. Nope, not me. So I told you yesterday I was going to show you the size of the New Jerusalem. Let's go on here in the Unveiling 21. I'm going to show you a cool little model on the internet here. We're going to give you an idea of how big this sucker is compared to the present Earth. But I remind you that the new Earth will be, we don't know the dimensions of it. And it's a mistake to think that it's going to be the same dimensions as this Earth. We said there's going to be no more sea, and I told you what was going to happen to the sea life. They're just going to be able to operate on land. There's not going to be a loss of a soul. But somebody pointed out to me there are probably going to be freshwater, after all, freshwater tributaries of some kind. Because after all, and this person was correct, we have the river of life going through the new city. So if there's a river of life, why wouldn't there be other fresh bodies of water, moving rivers? You're just not going to be in this giant, vast sea. So I suppose that was possible. So there could still be carp, maybe some tilapia, barracudas. No, I don't think so. Now, there's not going to be any barracudas in any freshwater. Everything's going to be different. We can just go ahead and talk about it and just make guesses about it, but we're not going to know until we see it, and we will see it. But we don't know the size of this new Earth. But I think it's going to be ponderous. I think it's going to be huge, because the city itself, well, you're going to see how big that is in a moment. But But God keeps getting bigger and better. That's what I'm saying. The days of the Savior being born in a barn and laid in a manger, those days are going to be gone. See, he just did that to capture people who were real deal. I know he makes some real deals, but he did that so that things of the Spirit would have to take a dose of the Spirit in order to be detected. Because now we're all looking for the big thing, right? The big thing. And so God purposely does everything in a scaled down version. When Jesus was on earth, he would have worn a sweater with a dog on it. It would have been, probably would have been a donkey, an ass. He would have had the ass brand of shirts and sweaters. It would have been very humble. Jesus Christ would not have shopped at Macy's or whatever great store there is, Kohl's. I don't even know what the names of the stores are. And God purposely does this to get the people who see these things by the Spirit of God. And it takes the Spirit of God to see the wisdom of God in a barn in Bethlehem. It takes the Spirit of God to see the Spirit of God in a crucified man hanging on a cross. Oh, that guy's saving the world. Oh, that's the highest expression of the love of God in the universe right now. What? How can you possibly say that? Looking at a man hanging from a cross. The only way you could say it is if you're plugged in to the mind of God. And God does that now by making everything stupid and humble. He says he does it on purpose. In 1 Corinthians 15. No, 1 Corinthians chapter 1. The foolishness of God is wiser than the wisdom of men. And he has to prove this point. But once he proves it, all bets are off. That's my point. Once he proves this, all bets are off. You see, he's going to prove that his stupidity is wiser than men, than humans. Because we now, as humans, we build great things, better things, wonderful things, and we put our hope and trust in that, in things that are seen, things that have a reputation, things that other people speak well of. And so God, being a contrarian, he comes and does just the opposite. He does great things by small means. David versus Goliath, Israel, the smallest nation versus the rest of the world. The list goes on and on. Gideon's army decimated before he wins in the battle. Abraham has no sexual prowess, neither does his wife, and then they produce the son. The Savior born in a manger in Bethlehem and then raised in the slum of Galilee, which is Nazareth. Fantastic. And it keeps going with the dog sweater and everything. Now, see, I'm wearing the Ralph Lauren shirt, the t-shirt today, so this is a harbinger of things to come. This is a progenitor of the new earth and of the great stores that will be in the new Jerusalem. Name brands everywhere. Yeah, name brands everywhere. So God's just doing this now. I mean, don't think that this is the way God's always going to do it. And remember, I told you, and I don't have proof of this, but I believe the fifth eon, the new earth eon, is a long time because God's been building to it. So we're going to camp there for a while. Not you and I. We're going to be camped among the celestials. But so he's building toward this. So no more humble little Savior. Jesus Christ is returning in great power and glory, right, with a polo shirt. He's going to come back in a polo shirt. And that's just at the beginning of the fourth eon, the end of this eon. Things are starting to change. And we see Jerusalem in the millennial kingdom, but it's still a small little city on this present earth with its present dimensions. But now, all bets are really off on the fifth eon. In the fifth eon on the new earth, because that's when things are going to go ape and God's going to finally enjoy being big. He's always been big, but now he's already made his point that spirit is not about big. See, he had to make that point. That's what I'm trying to say. He had to make the point that spirit is not about big, it's not about impressive by visionary standards, by the standards of sight, by the standards of scent and hearing. People think that if it's loud, it's doing a lot of work. I'll never forget a Hogan's Heroes episode. The prisoners were trying to make Colonel Klink think that they were working on the plumbing when really they were breaking somebody out of camp, probably 20 people out of camp. And so LeBeau was down there banging on a pipe. LeBeau, said he was a plumber back in the day. He's banging on a pipe, and Colonel Klink goes, "Oh, LeBeau sounds like he's doing a very good job." Why? Because it's loud? Because, oh, it sounds like a lot's happening. Tink, tink, listen to that noise. It's ridiculous. I was talking to Nancy when we were in the hospital, and she made this great point. She said, if you want to like get by security, or if you want to go to a place you're not supposed to be, just walk like you own the joint. Walk through with great confidence. And I've often thought that anybody with a lab coat in a hospital and holding a clipboard has carte blanche to go anywhere in the hospital. Just stand up straight, walk with authority, wear a lab coat, carry a clipboard, and no one will ask questions. You'll be the god or the goddess of the hospital. This is this whole human thing now of presentation. Everything's got to look great. If you have a lab coat, you're smart. I hate to say it, but it's true the way we think. You take an average person, you put a lab coat on them, even if they're not a doctor, it gives them a sudden gravitas that they don't. That this is a coat? A white coat. They probably wear white coats at the Keebler factory where they make crackers and cookies, the quality control people, or the Frito-Lay company probably has technicians in lab coats. So anybody can wear a white coat. If I had a suit and tie, I would have more weight. All these considerations are for now, so that God can oppose it and he can go against what humans think are great and powerful. And again, Jesus looked at the temple, was pointed out to him by the disciples as if he didn't know. Look at the temple, Jesus. Look how magnificent it is. And he's not impressed because he knows that the presence of God is about to leave that temple at his crucifixion. So he says, not one stone is going to be left upon another. So it pleases God in this day. This is going to comfort you concerning posers, concerning people who puff themselves up. Oh, I'll never forget Arnold Schwarzenegger talking about when he went to bodybuilding competitions. Arnold was the best, and he won like 5 world titles. And he would go to these competitions. He'd be in the hotel lobby as the competitors were arriving, and Arnold knew he was the best. So he would wear relaxed shirts, and he would have long sleeves. He wouldn't go out of his way to show off his muscles. But the people who were trying to be the best, the people who were clamoring to beat Arnold, they were posers. They all wore tight shirts with their sleeves rolled up, or they wore singlets to show off their deltoids and their trapezius muscles. And people who have no self-confidence today, they drive giant pickup trucks with no mufflers, right? Because they have no confidence. So they think bigger and louder is better. Now, having said all that, telling you that God is a contrarian, he loves to do things quietly. He loves to do things tiny ways so that the Spirit is the driving force, not the size or the sound. Having made that point for 6,000 years, he's finally going to take a deep breath and relax. And he's going to break it wide open. Now big is going to be the thing. Now size is going to matter. Now there's going to be noise, but it's not going to be an internal combustion engine. It's not going to be an external combustion engine. There's not going to be any kind of combustion at all. Oh, besides the millennial earth, we know that's going to combust. But that's going to be a loud noise. You see, God's changing things. That's going to be impressive. He never would have done that during this 6,000 years. But this earth's going to be destroyed with a loud boom. Boom. Oh, that's God. Now that's God. See, that's God. He does not doing that now. Because he wants you to hear his what? Still, small voice. This is the day of the still, small voice. But I don't want you to think this is all God's got. Is he always going to be this way, Martin? No, he's not. Because the new earth is going to be huge. Huge. And the new Jerusalem is going to be huge. And I told you I was going to show that to you. So I really have to produce before this show ends. So let me go to a graphic here. You know how it is. I can't see what I'm doing when I present you these things. I'm going to save the height of this thing for Monday. So I am going to disappoint you there. But let me turn this camera around. Look at this. This is a model made out of construction paper. Yellow construction paper. Showing the size of the New Jerusalem. As it is sitting on North America. So you can see that, I hope you can, one point of it is like around Orlando, Florida. That's the bottom right corner. The top left corner is up near the border of Canada around at Idaho. So that's how big this sucker is. The bottom left corner is somewhere around Mexico City. The top right corner, I can't see it, but it's my guess that it's somewhere around St. John's, Newfoundland. Is St. John's in Newfoundland? Is it St. John, Newfoundland? I don't know. Probably. Sounds good to me. Sounds good to me.